Hello team, and thanks for taking the time to watch this important DSS communication. In last month's message, we explained the basic physical challenges of backing. Let's take just a moment and review important points from that presentation. Vehicles in general are not built to back with efficiency. During forward motion, a driver sits at or near the steering axle and employs an excellent field of view. Their input at the steering axle yields a rapid response at the vehicle's leading front edge. However, when the truck is moving in reverse, it is pushed through a distance by a driver that is assessing risk with a limited field of view. That driver will be positioned nearly 30 feet from the rear of their truck, and when he or she inputs on the steering axle, the cab of the truck quickly swings left or right, while the rear of the backing truck is much less responsive to action at the steering wheel. When a driver strikes a fixed object, it is clear the driver did not properly utilize the hardware. He or she did not access all points of view during the process. Additionally, there is a quantity of speed that, when reached, a driver can no longer collect or process information while backing. In other words, you cannot turn your head fast enough to get all the necessary information because you are backing too fast. How fast is too fast while backing? Anything faster than a crawl is the answer. And because of the limited information available in mirrors or cameras, that crawl should be conducted with 1 foot on the brake. Last month, I also explained that when backing, you must rely on a set of mirrors and a backup camera. The available frame of view is narrow and limited. You collect less information with your eyesight and process less data with your brain. You gather less data because you are not using your peripheral vision when backing. You are no longer monitoring the movement of objects outside your central vision or detecting threats that may enter your path from points left or right to your backing position. Simply stated, you do not know about what you cannot see. If you move backwards at too great a speed with 1 foot on the accelerator and not on the brake, then you cannot respond effectively to objects or pedestrians that insert themselves from the left or right edge of your mirror or camera. Before we add to the material we covered last month, I want to cover again the portion of Rule 8.4 that defines a safe backing maneuver. First, come to a complete stop. Turn on your four-way flashers. Anticipate the actions of other people or vehicles around your truck. Be prepared to respond to changing conditions. Do not back around a corner or into an intersection unless there is no other option. And finally, remember the size and location of the blind spots for the specific truck you are operating that day. In the previous message, we identified 2 important topics we will cover in this month's DSS module. First, your pre-backing ritual. How you should use the first moments at a customer location to identify potential mobile threats before your backing sequence. Second, the R factor, a technique to promote excellent situational awareness just prior to a backing maneuver. Following the implementation of SDO, we have repeatedly said that efficiency and safety are not opposing points of view. In fact, efficiency is one of the best arguments for safe and responsible behavior. Few things impact the flow of our operations like a safety failure. A downed truck or a sideline employee can disrupt the routine for an entire team. This is something we must keep in mind when we are tempted to rush through a process or a service location. It is my hope that you have eliminated all unnecessary backing from your route. But for the purpose of this discussion, let's say that you back an average of 25 times a day, and that each of those maneuvers takes an average of 20 seconds. That would mean you spend approximately 8.5 minutes in reverse each workday. If you've decided you wanted to use more caution and take 10 seconds longer for each backing maneuver, 50% more time, You would then spend 12.5 minutes backing each day, a net addition of 4 minutes. I think that 4 minutes is a reasonable sacrifice if you are improving your backing safety by 50%. Slowing down customer service at every location that requires backing is a wise strategy. Added time would allow you to do 3 things better. First, you will be able to leverage the pre-backing analysis, which must begin the very moment you arrive at the general area where you intend to back. Next, you can properly use the R factor during the backing maneuver. Finally, it will allow you to back at a reduced speed, neutralizing the risk that is elevated once your peripheral vision is eliminated by mirrors and cameras. Unfortunately, a few drivers will assess one thing only when they arrive at a customer location that requires backing. They will search for static obstacles that block their path of travel. Any initial scan must include evidence of mobile threats. And while you look for movement, you have to look beyond active motion. You have to search for anticipated activity, not predicting the movement of vehicles or pedestrians, but allowing for all possibilities. You should never be satisfied with, does this pedestrian or occupied vehicle currently pose a threat? You must calculate what they could pose in a worst case scenario. If you are preparing to back and a pedestrian is standing 20 feet away while watching your maneuver, you must monitor that individual with a healthy suspicion. I don't want to seem crude, but you have to ask the question whether that individual wants to be struck. There are a few explanations for why that could be the case under extraordinary circumstances, but I have seen a handful of incidents throughout my career where individuals actually chose death by a garbage truck. I know that represents an extreme possibility, but that is the level of suspicion we must apply to any activity in our vicinity. And when you are dealing with children, you must proceed with the belief that every child will find their way under your truck without your direct intervention. You must also anticipate that a customer moving on foot will attempt to contact you at every service location. If you see them, make no assumption they will proceed with care. In other words, if you lose track of anyone at any stage of a backing maneuver, stop the truck immediately. Exit the cab and find out where that individual went. That is the only way to guarantee a desired outcome. If you don't know, don't go. Once you have arrived at a service location where essential backing will take place, and once you have used every available second to inspect the surrounding area for active or potential threats, you can prepare for your backing maneuver. That is when the R factor comes into play. The R factor is the established method for backing in any waste management vehicle. It requires every waste management driver, commercial or non-commercial, to stop for 3 seconds after placing the transmission in reverse and before beginning a backing procedure. During those 3 seconds, anyone behind the steering wheel of a company vehicle checks his or her mirrors and camera monitor. This happens before the start of a backing motion. It is critical that you assess every angle or instrument that offers a field of view, more than once if necessary, and that during your scan you use your peripheral vision to search for objects near your vehicle but not within the framing of your mirrors or camera. The R factor is required for any employee operating a route truck, service truck, pickup truck, automobile, heavy equipment, fork truck, or lift. When done properly, the R factor also provides observers with a tool to measure and witness safe backing preparation and procedures. For those of you that drive within a roll-off or commercial line of business, I understand fully the challenges you have while backing. You must back every time you either engage or disengage with a can. Sometimes you back several feet, sometimes you back further. In your situation, the R factor is critical and is your best defense against a backing failure. You must view backing as a process which is independent of all other service activity. In other words, you cannot be so focused on drop-off or collection that backing becomes merely a step in the process itself. For lack of a better analogy, Backing is a lot like running between foxholes during combat. Yes, it is potentially dangerous and every component of the task requires focus, but backing is not a casual element of your routine. In that moment that your tires begin to spin backwards, the risk has elevated tremendously, and your caution must elevate even higher than that threat. Next, I want to talk about a type of backing maneuver that represents perhaps the greatest risk to our employees, our equipment, and the safety of our community partners. I am referring to backing that takes place from a position where there is zero visibility for a driver and an approaching vehicle. Let's take a look at Rule 8.4.1, which addresses backing that takes place from a blind alley. Backing out of a blind alley is a high-risk maneuver and is to be done only when there are no other service options. There are several alternatives to consider in order to reduce this risk. Relocate the container to a different, safer location. Pick up the container only when there is no traffic expected in the area. Change the frequency of pickup. Change the type of service. For example, from front-end load to a two-person commercial rear loader. Install push-out containers that can be brought to the truck while it is safely parked on the street. Install a second camera that is focused to the side so that the driver can see if the path of travel is clear. Have someone assist as a spotter to help back the truck out of the alley. Finally, consider canceling the account because of the significant safety risk. It is also important before taking the truck en route to ensure that the warning strobe is mounted and working on the back of the truck. When a driver must back out of a blind alley or driveway, consider this advice to make the task safer. Back into the nearest traffic lane. Or, if it is safe to do so, place an orange cone in the traffic lane where the truck will be backing into. The purpose of the cone is to warn and/or stop any traffic so the truck can back out safely. Pick up the cone when it is safe to do so. Remember that drivers must wear a reflective vest to safely perform this procedure. I hope that you have found the last two modules on backing to be helpful. This is an area we must focus on for the remainder of 2015. During the first quarter this year, our collection employees showed what is possible when we pick a specific class of incidents and make a commitment to improve. Because of your focus during January, February, and March, we realized a greater than 30% reduction in slips, trips, and falls injuries. That is exactly the type of attention I would like to see you bring to backing incidents. I am confident we can see that type of improvement if each of you are committed to making it happen today. Before we conclude today's DSS module, I want you to hear from Jennifer Rorty as she shares important information in this month's Health Tips presentation.
Hi, and thanks for joining me for another Health Tips segment. In last month's message, I introduced to you MD Live, a 24/7 virtual doctor's office program that provides access to board-certified doctors and pediatricians who can diagnose, recommend treatment, and prescribe medications, all from the convenience of your phone or your computer. In this segment, I want to talk about 3 key numbers that can tell you a lot about your health. They are your blood pressure, your cholesterol, and your glucose levels. Because we know that safety is impacted by your health, knowing your health numbers is very important. To support you on your path to better understand the impact of good health, Waste Management wants to reward you for learning and monitoring your blood pressure, cholesterol, and glucose levels. You and your spouse, if enrolled in a Waste Management medical plan, are each eligible to earn up to 300 Be Well Bucks, money that can be used for medical expenses paid out of pocket, such as your annual deductible. Once you know your numbers, you simply fill out a health assessment by logging into mywmtotalrewards.com or call the Benefit Center to complete the assessment over the phone. The assessment will only take you around 10 minutes to complete. The Be Well Bucks will then be deposited into a health account that you can use for healthcare expenses. It's important to find out what your health numbers are and what those numbers should be so that you can start making small changes and improve your overall health. Screenings to learn your numbers may be offered on location at your waste management site, or you can visit your doctor. The screenings are free and are covered under your medical benefits. We want to help you stay safe and healthy. Please take advantage of free services offered by Waste Management that can help you recognize optimal health. Thank you for your time today, and remember, employee safety starts with employee wellness.
Like Jennifer, I appreciate your time. And before you leave the site today, I want you to make a professional commitment to reduce backing where possible on your route. And for the backing that is essential, remember to use every available moment at a customer location to assess the environment before backing. Remember to use the R factor. And finally, commit to backing at a reduced speed or crawl, never more than 3 miles per hour, which will allow you to better respond to emerging threats. In closing, a big thanks to each and every one of you for all that you do to make Waste Management the safest company in our industry. And thanks for your commitment to safely servicing our customers within your route plans each and every day. Have a safe day and make it a lot easier for others to do the same.